It's been said a bard's life can often be a hard life, or hill and jail to rove and always move from town to town. And some folk have inquired if ever we grow tired of ranging all around the world and never settling down.
But one should be a little wary of remaining stationary. 'Cause comfortable is lovely, but it's not the way we grow. When life starts to unravel, pick up your pack and travel. You'll find a strange serenity in places you don't know. Wriggle-dee-dum-dee-too-da-terry-o-dee. There's so much to see beyond the open door. It's outward bound we go. Who knows what we'll find that we've never found before. Adventures waiting further down the road. It's waiting for you further down the road. You've got no map for showing which direction you are going.
But why start on a journey if you know where it will end?
And once you recognize,
to anticipate surprise, you'll relish every twist and turn that lies around the bend. Wriggle-dee-dum-da-too-da-terry-o-dee-da-dee-da-dee. There's so much to see beyond the open door. It's outward bound we go. Who knows what we'll find that we've never found before. Adventures waiting further down the road. It's waiting for you further down the road. Lie-da-lie-da-lie-da-lie-da-lie. Lie-da-lie-da-lie-da-lie. Lie-da-da-lie-da-lie-da-lie-da-lie. La-da-da-lie-da-lie-da-lie. La-da-da-lie-da-lie. The world has got its demons. There are many reasons why you'd find it harder to be brave than be afraid. But every life could use some danger. Every friend was once a stranger. Ships are safe in harbor, but that's not why ships are made. Wriggle-dee-dum-dee-too-da-terry-o-dee. Dee, a fweet-dee-dee-dee-dee. There's so much to see beyond the open door. It's outward bound we go. Who knows what we'll find that we've never found before. Adventures waiting further down the road. It's waiting for you further down the road. Lie-da-lie-da-lie-da-lie-da-lie. Lie-da-lie-da-lie-da-lie. Lie-da-lie-da-lie-da-lie-da-lie. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Adventures waiting further down the road. Let's go! Lie-da-lie-da-lie-da-lie-da-lie. Lie-da-lie-da-lie-da-lie. Lie-da-lie-da-lie-da-lie-da-lie. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. La-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mab Labs. So good to have you join us this month. I look forward to hanging out with you guys at least once a month if I'm not in the crafting show during the day. On Wednesdays, I like to come to my lab on Thursday nights, which is another fancy way of saying my completely messy and trashed art space studio where I make things, sometimes for sale, sometimes because I have a strange compulsion that cannot be denied. I try to have a guest every month, and this month is no different. That's right. This month I have a special guest. I'm lucky enough to be doing the show at the same time that she is in my time zone. So I'd like to welcome an old dear friend of the channel and mine. Give it up for Carmel Clavin. Woo!
Oh my God, that's me. That's totally me.
Applause. Now, there is no doubt of your artistic merits. There are so many reasons I could have brought you to the show. Talk about performing, talk about costuming, talking about making anything. But tonight I brought you in to talk about a very specific thing. You posted, I think it was on Substack or maybe somewhere. You sent out an email to your fans, which I am lucky enough to consider myself one.
Thank you.
About third spaces.
Oh, yeah.
And I read this message and I realized that's something we all really need right now. So I would love to talk to you about third spaces. So give me the overview. I don't think we need to do like, hi, I'm Carmel and I'm doing this.
The eyebrows say it all, really. Why would I waste time? Hi, I'm Carmel, and Mab has brought me here because we have a long history of scheming together and working together in festivals and going to weird little shows together that we're not in, just enjoying other people's art. And the photo that she sent me of like, hey, I made this little banner for you to be on the show. And I was like, oh my God, that photo it's crazy. Like both of our eyes look crazed. And they're right next to each other like this. And that was at an Abs Fest probably 4 or 5 years ago. You had just gotten a new camera, I remember, and you were like, look at the really low light photos it can take. And we were all so excited. So third spaces. Yeah. Festivals are third spaces, which is like, see, I was going to get us into that transition.
Oh, I knew it. I had no doubts. I was just having fun along the ride.
I know. I'm just happy to be here, man. So festivals are third spaces, but they're like temporary fairy third spaces. Like they come and they go, like the mushroom circle or the circus or whatever. Like they're not reliable in the way that studio spaces or community spaces or collaborative spaces or something as simple as a bar or a library can be. So
from what I was reading, not to like say you're wrong about this thing that you wrote an article about,
sure.
But this is how I read it, and this is what resonated the most with me.
Yeah,
was a third space. You've got your home, you've got work. For some people, home and work are the same place. Now, the third space is where you go that's neither home nor work. That is a place that's like a community place where you can interact with other people in your community on some level. And you had described church as one of those places. Coffee shop you described as one of those places. And I think a library would qualify. We have a makerspace.
Yeah, makerspace would qualify. So there's for the audience out there in Internetlandia, this is a concept. The idea of like the phrase "the third space" was kind of coined in the 80s by some social engineer people.
Yeah, in the 1980s, I think.
In the 80s, yeah. And it was like what I thought when I was doing work about research for the piece of writing, I was like, what exactly, like, I think I know what it is, but what is it? And it's, you know, like any kind of social engineering thing, it's a bit squishy. But I like the idea. It's so cute of like a place that you don't have to pay to be.
Exactly. See, that's what Victorian London Fog mentioned. It is difficult to find a space that you don't have to pay to occupy, and that's why libraries and churches.
Right, but I think that it's naive to say that a third space is a place that has to be a place that you don't have to pay to be there, because like we're all paying in some way to be somewhere. Like you pay rent, you pay with your body and your time for work, and like libraries are paid for with taxes. It's just a level of separation from the cost, I feel like, is like, that's, and to us, like, that's theater. Like that's marketing, that's theater. That's, you know, the truth is that we pay for everything. We pay in different ways. And so like for the 80s, when like pre-internet, pre-smartphones, to say like, this is a place that you don't have to pay to be, like, sure. Okay. But like now that we have the internet, it is argued that the internet is a third space, or it was a third space.
Right. So would you describe this channel or our Discord as a third space?
Exactly. It's a gathering point. And so when I was saying like festivals are third spaces, they are, but they're super temporary. So then we start to get into this like deep atomization about like what exactly, and that shit does not, I don't like that. I don't like to like overly define or overly atomize a thing, because what's the, like, for why? So what I want to know is, what is the function of the space? So I wrote the Substack that Mab is referencing. You can drop a link if you're into it. I wrote the Substack from inside of a Capital One cafe. Capital One is a giant bank. It's a, you know, giant transnational bank. And they're beginning to like have these little cafes like in neighborhoods where like cute little coffee shops would be, and they're masquerading as coffee shops, but they're banks. Like when you walk in, there are giant ATMs on the left, and then there's the barista, and like there are meeting rooms upstairs. It's a 2-level one, so it's like there's meeting rooms upstairs, but like, and there's tables everywhere, and there's a classroom in the back, a financial literacy classroom, like blah, 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 blah. You know, it's free internet, whether you're a customer or not. It's a bank. Like, it is so absolutely masquerading as a community space that I just had to write about it. I was like compelled. But like also because it's in a place called Carytown in Richmond, where I currently am based. And there are a lot of transient and unhoused people in that part of Richmond because it is a tourist place. So it's, you know, there's panhandlers, there's people, you know, trying to make their lives work. The bathrooms are upstairs and in the back. So you have to go through a lot of soft security to get to a public bathroom. You know, like you can, if you're a customer, you can rent, you don't have to rent, you can book a space that has like soft couches and like, and quiet. And so I was just really annoyed that they were creating this, like, we're a community. And I'm like, yeah, but you've built hostile social architecture to weed out the people who don't have money because you're a fucking bank. So I just
wow, there's a lot of things that you are touching on here. So many: hostile architecture, masquerading as, and even though it is masquerading as, doesn't preclude it from still being utilized as a third space.
I literally wrote the article there. Like I sat there for 3 hours and wrote it. That's the thing. And so I just like to, I want to be clear on what the agenda of a place is. Like, you can have an agenda. That's cool. I just want to know what it is so I can say, I'm here to navigate this, or I reject this, whatever the case may be.
I'm down or piss off.
Yeah. So so third spaces for me are a cute old idea. It's almost antiquated. But it's also, because of who I am and perhaps who you are, the idea of like, but we make things and we perform things. So as a performer, my hustle is like every minute of every day. Like, why did I show up to this meeting with 30 seconds to spare is because I was busy. She was texting me, being like, "Are you okay? Are you coming?" And I'm like, I am. I will be there. I promise. I will be on time. But I was in the middle of, pulling all of my other work together because I run a festival, and the festival's in 9 sleeps. So it's a lot. I've been going to the library a lot to like create myself a habit of leaving the house to work and having bounded time. And we've got some nice ones here. Like when I'm on the road, I tend to do that as well. I try to find a coffee shop, find a museum, find a library where I can go and work during the day because I'm performing at night. But like, I feel like the third space that the original architects talked about was for people with leisure time. I don't know anybody with leisure time.
Yeah, that doesn't exist at all in this world. Well, right? In this America.
In this America, there's no leisure. Like everything is a hustle.
Yeah.
Or an obligation.
I am literally cutting stickers right now.
Yeah.
For sale.
Yeah, I should be sewing something, but I didn't prepare.
Carmel's like, is this a work on things? And I'm like, well, we're gonna be talking, but that doesn't mean you can't be working.
I'm working on this gin. That's what I'm working on.
That gin ain't gonna drink itself, sister.
This gin isn't gonna drink itself.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but and I said, I want this. The things that you're describing, I want that. And the gin. But I want some place. And after reading your thing, I'm like, why don't I create it? So
this is the trap.
Uh-oh.
This is the trap. Continue.
But I was like, well, I have the maker space in my library.
Uh-huh.
And I go there every now and then because they have tools that I don't have.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, why don't I make sketchy shit, an event that's free. You don't pay money. You just go to the makerspace and you work on things, and I'll set up a still life if you want to draw, paint, whatever. But I will encourage people to show up. But then I'm like, well, you can't drink there, but that's fine. But that doesn't rule it out. But
you could drink. No, I was gonna say you could drink tea, and I was like, no, you can't. Because like inside of maker spaces, they're usually pretty.
Oh no, they allow you to drink soft beverages.
Okay, so a tea, a flask of tea, and a towel to sop it up when you spill it. Here's why I was shouting that's a trap, because like I love the idea that you're like inspired to create community space, but our problem as performers and producers is that we're solutions oriented. We're so solutions oriented that we go, I can fix that, and then every single one of us is trying to create community alone, and it's
okay. How do I find the one that exists that's doing the thing that I want to do? I want to go somewhere beyond.
Right. I hear you, but this is a lesson I've been learning over the past 7 years, I'd say 7 or 8 years, is probably longer. Let's be honest. It's that it's not about finding the thing that already exists, which could be a possibility. It just depends on when you live. It's about finding the like-minded people who want to join you on the co-creation and co-dreaming even. It doesn't just have to be your dream. It could be a co-dreamt thing that like 1 or 2 people out of the 7 who dreamt it are actually capable of and resourced to do. But the idea of like, it doesn't just have to be the thing that you thought of. And I say this as a person who is chronically I'm gonna just do it, and the community and for the community, and the community will love it, and the community will show up, and they never do. Over and over again, they don't, because it's not built with community. It's built because I wanted something.
Built with community. Shut up. That's
So the phrase, I know, the
Mm.
phrase "not about us without us" rings in my head a lot. Of like, let's just, maybe we just need to be honest about, like, we're not doing this for the community. We want it. We want it. We want the thing. We want to go to the library and make stuff. We want people with us when we do that. So if somebody, like, let me ask you, if somebody else was doing that thing that you said you wanted to do, would you just go to that, or would you do your own?
Yeah. So I did check the library schedule.
Okay.
There is one on Wednesdays during a time of day that I am usually asleep.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, wake up for this. Wake up for this. Wake up. And it's focused on crochet.
Okay.
And
So like there's a kind of a proto version of a thing that you're interested in. So perhaps there are other people like you who are more like night owls who don't want to wake up and crochet at that hour. But I'm just saying, like, these are the things that are running through my head. And the older I get, the more I'm reminded that I am not obligated to do anything by myself. I'm good at things by myself, but I'm not obligated to do things by myself.
Yeah.
And what an intense lesson of patience to find a way to wait like 10 seconds longer to see if anybody else would be interested in doing it with me. A good example of this is the Richmond Ferry Federation. That was that I had, and then I was like, hey, there are other people in my life, and this was during COVID lockdown times in 2021. And I was like, there are other people in my life who like fairies and are performers. Maybe we should talk about what we could do together. And that turned into the RVA Fae Fed. And now it doesn't even belong to us anymore. Like the original 5 people who put it together, we're all busy being full-time performers. So we can't.
I know Nicole Paisano, the artist and sometimes performer. She had a hand in that, right?
Or she was one of the original 5 with me.
And she's not doing it anymore. I thought I saw her promoting that something recently, but
yeah, we're like technically still part of it, but we're not. Like, we're just not. And so Nat has a Discord, and it's got a lot of people, and what it's turned into is a place for a third place on the internet for people who are lovers of the Fae lifestyles and mythic stories, and who want to dress up and hang out at a meadery, and like that's their third space. So the idea of like, we created a community by accident. Great. That sounds great. That sounds like organic growth to me. But we all had to have a chat with each other, a real ego death chat with each other about like, this isn't ours anymore because we can't, we're too busy to go over it.
I actually want that. I want things to, and I was very unpopular with that opinion in many of the organizations that I was involved in.
You want it to
I want it to grow beyond this original scope. And I'm willing to not gatekeep, right? So there's the gatekeepers that are saying you're doing it wrong, or that's not what we're doing, or any kind of number of reasons that they're gatekeeping. And I'm like, hey, I know that's not exactly what I had created to start with, but it's still a really wonderful thing.
I'm just going through our comments because I have not been looking at them.
Yeah, we got some great.
There's one in here that says, how would we feel about a church providing a third space? The thing is that churches were considered third spaces originally because they were a gathering point for community. That's by Jay Rinker back at 15 minutes ago. So yeah, like third spaces were church was considered like a religious space was considered a third space. Because
I'm going to try something in real quick. I just joined the Church of Gnome.
Where's that?
Somebody who knows I dig gnomes sent me a link today. I'll have to go find it.
Today? You joined a church today?
Today. And I got it ordained as a gnomish minister.
Yes.
And I'm actually going to go to the courthouse tomorrow or Monday and get my civil service wedding permit license.
I love it. I keep trying to get that, and I just do it as one-offs because for some reason finding a getting ordained, like I'm ordained in Universal Life Church, but Virginia doesn't recognize that, and so for some reason it's actually quite difficult to become like a continuous officiant.
It's a little weird. They were like, "Oh, you need to write a letter expressing your intent," and so I sent them an email, and they're like, "No, it needs to be an actual letter." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go down there." And it doesn't say how much it is, but I think it's $500. Now I don't know if it's $500 a year or whatever. So that would mean I would have to do so many weddings to get, to make it viable. But if it's a 500 flat rate indefinitely, then that's a different story. Or if it's like $20, whatever. Anyway, so yay, church. I just had to throw that out there.
So I'm doing this really cool event at the X Park in Charlottesville, if anybody is here or if you want to come here, on May 4th, which was going to be called the Pantheon of Love, but it's now just a brunch event. We are gay marrying as many people as want to be married as possible on May 4th. Before those things disappear, we are having brunch and ritually binding people who want to be ritually bound. If you're there with your throuple or your polycule or your single honey, like we'll do a quick and delicious little ritual underneath the magic tree at the X Park. And if you want to actually be legally bound, we have a couple of slots for people to sign up to do that, and I will marry you.
Oh, wow.
So we're doing this like for super low cost, essentially, and we're gonna have Isaac Harrell do photos of it.
Nice.
And then we're all gonna have brunch together and toast to the world we want to fight for. And so for like $40 and a marriage license, like get married. Like stop making excuses about how you don't have the money, you don't have the time. If you're trying to marry somebody before gay marriage disappears, then do it now. Are you waffling on getting married to your honey? Eat waffles and say yes. That's what I wrote in the copy.
That's a great marketing. Oh, I love it. That's awesome.
Bind together in these unraveling times. Yes, I'm working on it.
You're on fire.
I'm on fire. So if you're in Virginia or if you want to come get married in Virginia, we've got an event coming up on May 4th.
Do you need any no ministers?
Not currently, but when you
will wear a gnome outfit. I've got
so the original idea was called Pantheon of Love, and it was going to be a queer marriage festival of love. And we were going to have a bunch of temples that you could go and get married in. And it would be like, you could go to the little chapel and Elvis would marry you. You could go to the Gothic cathedral and like a Satanist would marry you. You could go to those Flying Spaghetti Monster, like Church of the Subgenius, and somebody would marry you. Or you could like go into... You could get your hand fasting, or like Church of the Fairy Art, which Nina, of course, does in Baltimore. Or you could just like go to a gray table with a person wearing all gray who's just a civil servant who will like stamp a thing and be like, all right, you're married. And so the idea was to create this like pantheon of different religious traditions of binding and marriage and nuptials for people to participate in at different levels of legality. So like you could just show up and be like, ha ha ha, we got married 4 times today in like these different temples. Or you could show up and be like, we're for real married. We like did our paperwork.
Legal and binding in a court of law.
It's legally binding. We have a license, and we also got married by Elvis and the Flying Spaghetti Monster, and the Church of the Fairy Art. So the idea was to do it like that. But that was too, timeline-wise, too aggressive for what we could manage in the midst of a bunch of other festivals in a small market. So in the future,
May 4th. What else is going on that weekend? That's not the Spoutwood Fairy Festival, is it?
it is Spoutwood.
May Day Fairy Festival.
Yeah, because it's Beltane. That's why I wanted to have it that weekend. I was like, let's put it as close to Beltane as possible, for all the reasons. But so now it's brunch. So if you're interested in coming and getting bound in these unraveling times, if you just want to come and have waffles and get dressed up, the co-producers were like, oh, should we go like classy, like white and gold? And I was like, fuck no, we need to go full camp, like gay, like rainbows everywhere. We want you to like rhyme.
It's not just gay, it's gay.
I do. I think I have it. Yeah, look at this. Look at what I have here. Look what I have here.
I need that. Aww.
I've got your little Be Gay Do Crime rainbow votive.
Aww. I do have those stickers, and I have a regular white votives with the full color decal on them too.
I like that as well. That probably, that would translate really well.
I think we got that as a second because it was a prototype and I wasn't like mad in love with it. So I was like, here.
But
I
like
make a lot of prototypes.
The Ix Park is another great example of a third space, because it's like they have their immersive museum on one side, they have their bar and venue on the other side, and then out front of it they have like a big cement platform that they've now filled with art installations and statues, and a big geodesic dome that's covered in hydrangea vines, and an art corner where you can just go, like they basically just hold art classes outside on picnic tables. It's so cute. So, and like, here's the thing about Ix is that it's got different levels of engagement for cost. So like, to our point is like, does the third space have to be free? Does the third space have to be like, what does it need to be? And so like, if you want to go into the Looking Glass Museum, which is like a Meow Wolf-esque space
in
Charlottesville, then it's $15. And if you want to go into the Rabbit Hole, which has the bar, like you can walk in, but and get a drink or not, whatever. But if you just want to walk around outside and like amongst the art at a festival or at a farmer's market or whatever, it's free. So like there are like levels of engagement that you could go with. But I think it's naive that there is that anything is free. And I mean that not just about money, but about like, we spend our time, we spend our attention. If you have kids, if you're chronically ill, like there's an enormous amount of spoons that must be used to go to a thing. And your point about like, oh, this thing exists at the library, but it's at a time when I'm not physically capable of being there because of your circumstances, because of your life, like that counts as a cost. So
that's an interesting perspective. But you know,
I'm full of them.
I know you are, darling. Which is why I had to schedule the time to chat with you. If nobody else showed up, it still would have been an interesting chat for me. You're welcome. I would, if I was more motivated, I would get up and make the time. Like I tried, and it just was not high on my priority.
What do you think? It's because you didn't trust them to give you your money's worth?
There's no money. Oh, you mean, okay. I say there's no. So here's the thing. As an unemployed individual, I don't have any regular revenue stream. Mm-hmm. So I have said I will stop. A while ago when I was freelance full time, I was like, I can't go to this event unless it generates revenue.
Yeah.
And I have to keep that in mind, that I can't be spending energy on a thing that doesn't return revenue.
Yeah.
And if it was a sticker group, I would have gone. and shown off all the stickers that I've been making and my new sticker company and talked sticker and gotten sticker shop shit.
Sticker shock.
Sticker shop, but shock too. So yeah, I guess you yeah. I just needed to say this part out loud. I'm like, yeah, I would have made the time if I felt that I had would have gotten more value back.
Yeah.
Is that a way?
Yeah, because like what you might need is friends that have nothing to do with the rest of your life. Friends that are not performers, like you might need socialization with a bunch of people.
I do need socialization with people who aren't performers, and I've needed that. I am always looking out for that.
So that might actually be valuable to you more than does this generate revenue? Because
right now I need revenue.
yeah. So the idea of like, where do we spend our money? How do we spend our spoons? Things of that variety. I spend a lot of my spoons traveling the world, going to festivals, and all of it is a marketing expense because festival work does not pay bills, but festival work leads to private clients. Festival work leads to commissions. Festival work and being in the room, quote unquote, and getting my face and my name and the work that I'm doing, the kind of work that I'm doing, winning awards, like that is an investment and a marketing expense for me. So like, while it doesn't generate the revenue it needs to like truly pay for itself and be a job, it is it's a huge piece of the job. I
absolutely get that.
So Jay Rinker says, I tend to do these events and volunteer so other people can make crafts. Question. Victorian London fog. My commute is on a train. Do you think the public transit can be a third space? My husband has made real friends on the train. I think that it depends on how do you train. Because if you really commute and you really have the time to treat it like a public forum, then like, yeah, it is. But if it's a subway ride,
I'm gonna say no.
Where no one is talking. No. Yeah, like I think that if you had a train situation that felt like community, then sure. But if the train just happens to be where you converse casually, then
it's like on an airplane. Single serving friends.
Oh, a single serving friend.
I didn't make that line up. That was a line from Fight Club. The booze comes in single serving bottles and the friends are single serving. And that's what book. That is to me. I like the idea. So you remember back in the day when coffee houses existed and people would go there
when they weren't banks.
Revolutions.
Yes.
I want that. Where's that now? What is that? What is the modern day equivalent? The internet? Discord?
I fucking hate Discord. I'm sorry. I'm going to say
I don't hate it. I actually found a Discord community that I really like. Ours was always robust, which is what got me to regularly check Discord. And then a friend of mine created a Discord community. That I like.
And it's not the community that I dislike. It's the UX.
Yeah.
It's the platform. I hate the platform. I love that people are finding each other. I love that people are keeping track of one another according to their according to how they got there. I love that. I really hate the design of Discord.
Is there an online interface design that you do like?
For that kind of socializing?
Yeah, for socializing.
Not for socializing.
For socializing.
I use a different similar platform for work and for scheming and distributed teams, which is Slack, which is
Oh, I like Slack.
I really like Slack when I'm working, but it's not a social space. It's not built for that. And yeah, I want to like Discord, but I just think it's too ADHD. Like every time I'm on it, my eyes just start wobbling, and my heart, I'm like, nah, yeah, I'm like, it's too much. It's too much. But I think the real, like the real answer, which people might not like, is that you need to physically be in the presence of others.
Yeah. And
You need a coffee shop. You need a tea shop. You need a library. You need to go to the crochet group or the Stitch and Bitch or the Dr. Sketchies. You need to go to the 10K or the bike rally. It's not going to be found online. I think that online communities are very cool and very necessary, but they're not what's going to save us.
I absolutely agree. I think the pandemic forced us to be on like internet third spaces, but I think that finding people in the Mab Labs,
That's right.
finding a place where we can no pressure casual, people come and go at leisure. And like when I was in college, it was literally a coffee shop.
Yeah.
I went in and I paid $1.25 with that's including tip for a cup of coffee and drank coffee all night long. And the cycle of people would come and go. And that's in a walking community that was in Richmond, down by the college.
Which one? Which coffee shop?
It doesn't exist anymore. I think it was the Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
And then the Village Cafe was another one, but that was when it was on the other side of the street.
I was just there 2 days ago.
Yeah. The Village Cafe, I went in there recently and it did not feel the same at all.
Okay. So I went with Stephen Warwick, who's an OG VCU kid and who's there in the 90s, going to college in the 90s. And he was like, I'm going to take you, this was years ago, but like, I was like, I'm going to take you to the Village Inn. And I was like, okay. It was 10:30 at night and we walk in and they go, sorry, kitchen's closed. We're gonna close up soon. And like it was filled with people, but like it wasn't raucous. And I started to watch him have like a small existential crisis because and we're like, okay, and then we left and he was like, what happened? There's no secondhand cigarette smoke. It used to be 24 hours. It's not even 11 o'clock and they've stopped serving like milkshakes and coffee. What the fuck? Like you just like was, having this like, wow, we really have gone through a portal. The Village Inn is now vanilla. I don't know how to describe it, but
Disneyfied. Yeah. I don't know, cleaned up. I don't know.
It's very cleaned up.
I don't need the third-hand cigarette smoke. I don't need the smoke. You know what? I do need the place where you can sit at a table and people are hopping up from table to table, going, "Hey, blah blah blah. Oh, hey, da da da." Like. I remember walking up to like just getting a cup of coffee and walking past its table, and this super goth boy, big hair goth boy, was working on something. And I walked by and I went, and I turned and I said, "What are you working on?" And he looks up at me with his big hair. Poetry. And I was like, I'm sitting down right now. I sat down. He drew in my sketchbook, and then somebody spilled their beer on it, and he wiped it, and then because he had a calligraphy pen that he was using to write, and he wrote a little poem in my sketchbook because I was there to sketch. I was there to draw things, and That was when it was on the other side of the street, and yeah, there was a lot of cigarettes.
Yeah, I think though that like this brings this like it brings
I
the
want
points
that.
up.
Where
Yeah,
is
it brings the
that?
points of like where do we go to gather? Where do we go to gather casually without what did you call it? Casual without expectations. Like
Yeah,
go to a place and like with curiosity with no expectations.
yeah.
I think um like capitalism squeezes us all, of course.
I
So
saw a cartoon recently that just resounded with me. It said, "This is life right now," and it's just a person sitting on a hill. And then the next panel, someone pops in and says, "That'll be $87."
yeah.
Third panel, the person's like, "Yep, that seems about right." All they're doing, I have to pay money just by existing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that um you know, I've gone to a couple of like people's assemblies that are exciting and want to get a lot done, but they also are like so putting the cart before the horse when it comes to community building.
Mm.
And they're like, we'll start a signal channel and we're gonna get together for like potlucks and writing our senators. And I was like, cool. Maybe we should learn each other's names first. Like maybe we should learn about each other before we start doing like political action together, because like those are the things that are missing a lot is the like the part of community building that people kind of forget is that it's not sometimes it's not work, it's a lot of it is play, a lot of it is like you want to build a snowman, like do you want to go sledding together, do you want to have a meal together before we talk about how the neighborhood watch is brutalizing people? Like I feel like that's the piece that's missing when people talk about community building. They're always talking about community building as a like a verb towards an end, towards some sort of consequence or some sort of end, but like there's no space for play or curiosity or gentility of like I threw a barbecue, bring a dish. Like
Again, that's at somebody's home.
it doesn't have to be, that could be in a park.
We used to throw road pizza parties where I would order a pizza and have it a bunch of pizzas and have it delivered to the median between two houses. And
Nice.
we would set up chairs because it was
Hell
a big
yeah.
thing.
Hell yeah. I think that the hustle culture is what kills community.
Oh, that's it right there.
It's not just money. It's not just capitalism. Like I think it's hustle culture about like everything's got to have an angle, everything's got to have an agenda, everything's got to have like how's this working for me, everything's got to like be towards something. Like does it?
I'm guilty of it, totally.
I'm totally guilty of it. I try very much to like break the habit, but sometimes you gotta like do the like ugly work of building in time for nothingness, to like for like integration or reflection. I try to spend my mornings, and by spend my mornings I mean 20 minutes if I can fucking manage it, writing in a journal about like what did I dream last night, or I'll like read a nonfiction book for like as long as my attention can manage it, and then I'll write after I read the book. And like it's hard, man. I'm always like, no, I've got emails to do, I've got a festival to thing, I've got to make money because I've got to buy a plane ticket, and like I'm so guilty of it. But what I know is that learning people's names and like spending time together without any kind of goal in mind
I had to have a goal to reach out to you, Carmel, to come and hang out with me, and you had to have a goal to accept.
Right? I mean, it's like, it's poison. So hustle culture hustle
Yeah.
culture's got us by the throat.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I would say, like, how do we build effective third spaces is like stop having a fucking agenda, perhaps. Like,
Yeah, which is easier to say than to do.
of course. And like to your point earlier about coffee shops being like space for revolution and coffee shops being the space for like what pushes us forward.
Yeah.
Tea shops used to do that for women. Now, there's historical evidence that shows that coffee shops literally are the place of revolutions. Like it was in the 18th century and 19th century, the rise of coffee culture was a huge piece of the puzzle about.
You know
Um,
what it was? It was all the caffeine. Nowadays, if you had like a cocaine cafe, you'd be getting all these people like, okay, all right, I got this really great idea. Like down
okay,
to the
hear me out.
the malicious compliance is motherfucking punk rock. Ah,
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing is that like coffee shops really were places of social foment. They really were places where you spent very little money, but you were engaged in kind of like the chemical exchange of like the caffeine, but also in social entanglement. The way that kind of bars kind of are and or were like pubs and tavern houses used to be third spaces
yeah.
for a lot of human history. But there is a parallel about coffee shops, and it's the women's tea shop. Now, what was happening in the 19th century, especially, was that ladies of stature were not to be seen in pubs, taverns, or coffee houses because that was below their station and it would ruin their lives in various ways. But where they could go was the tea shop or the tea house. Women of a certain rank and money were going there. And do you know who wasn't there? Men.
Yes.
So women,
We're able to
married
stay.
women of money or means,
Yeah.
had a secret place to go and they would scheme together. There's historical proof that like the suffrage movement in the UK and in America would never have progressed as far as it did or even begun if it weren't for women meeting behind their husbands' backs in the tea shop. And things like, oh, I know what Bert is up to. Like, and so they would work together to find a way to manipulate with the power that they had their husbands towards their goals. So I'm just saying, it's not just the coffee shop. It's the
Sure. I drink a lot more coffee than I do tea, but yeah.
I'm just saying, like, let's drink some fucking tea out of some fancy porcelain ware, surrounded by chandeliers and stained glass, and talk about revolution. Like, let's go. Let's talk about how to build a bomb. And like, like Mrs. Pankhurst was not, going to the bar. So I'm just saying,
why not? Like we got to find that thing now. Like now it's Kung Fu Tea, which is the chain.
oh yeah. All right, I'm looking at these comments and it says
spilling tea for real.
Yeah, oh yeah. We live in I have to put a pin in that. I have an idea that I want to talk to you about called Spill the Tea. Rural areas, sometimes people need a place to do things in town when they live in the country, but not in a town. Yeah, that's a huge problem, is like the geographical traveling distance. Little motto framed in my desk: make something every day, even if it sucks.
Right. I've been actually trying to do that. I have a sketchbook now, and I am a shitty sketcher these days, but I used to be.
Oh my God, I'm so bad at it. When I hand something to my graphic designer, I try to like do a sketch first, and I don't think it helps. just don't think it helps. What would we need to rule out or discourage to avoid agendas?
That's an interesting question. Who said that?
Jay Rinker. I would say ego death is a big one. Would you visit my hypothetical chocolate house, drinking
Yes.
chocolate, of course?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I've been to one.
Yes.
In Philadelphia, there was one. Unstructured play and unspecified goals. Goals TBA. Like Tang, the space program made it, but it wasn't the reason for it going to the moon. Yeah, like who knows what you'll discover if you're just kind of working towards like fucking around and finding out. Writing this down for my newly thought of quote historical lesbian tea shop romance.
Ooh.
Yes.
Have you read some of the stuff that Victorian London Fog has written for us?
I have not.
Yeah, you would love it.
Exciting.
I created a channel on our Discord. Yes, I know, called Nat 21 After Darker. And it's a lot of what do they call it? Fan fiction erotica based
Hell
on
yeah.
bananas.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You know, I used to read those things. Like that's one of my acts is that I
also know that you used to read here on our channel on
I
Monday.
did. Who in this show remembers the Glamour Hobo Bedtime Tales?
I could not freaking remember what it was called.
Yeah, that's it. Glamour Hobo. The Glamour Hobo Bedtime Tales was on for 3 years.
Wow.
On Monday nights. It was
Late
a 10 o'clock.
Monday.
10 o'clock show, and I would read out of a book. I would go on a rant, and then we would build a story together based on some oracle cards, and then I would read. John Caro is here.
Yep.
Jay Rinker was there. Amazing. Hello. Well, hi everybody. Hello again. Okay, so we're getting close to the 9 o'clock hour.
Yes.
So I'm gonna tell you about Spill the Tea. So Spill the Tea is my next project for festivals or for something. I'm not sure what it is, where it goes yet, because it's a one-on-one immersive experience. So if you don't know this about me, I build immersive experiences and cabarets. And Spill the Tea is a one-on-one immersive experience where you essentially are walking into a witch's hut / TARDIS, and it will be very unassuming from the outside. It will look like a cloud, something small, and one person at a time will go in, and when you step inside, it's actually like a vintage kitchen, because everybody talks in the kitchen. Yeah. Everybody talks.
Yeah.
And they talk and they spill the tea in the kitchen, and you'll sit down and I will make you a cup of tea and a piece of gluten-free toast, and we will get deep fast. And then your time will be up in about 7 to 10 minutes, and then you'll leave.
Wow. And it's like you can talk about anything you want to talk about.
Anything you want to talk about. And the point is to be deeply witnessed with sincerity and curiosity by me. So one of my superpowers is that I can get deep really fast in conversation with people. Thank you. So I was like, what if it were like this? What if it were like this? What if we did this thing where you could feel comfortable, you could feel in a trustworthy space to just say whatever it is that you want to say, confess whatever it is that you want to confess, or just talk shit if that's all you want to do, while you drink a really nice cup of tea that I've made for you, and I'll send you on your way with a little snack. A little snack. I have this idea that like the timing is like how long you're in there for is the time it takes to brew you a cup of tea, hand it to you, put the toast in the toaster, and then when the toast is done and the marmalade or the butter is on it, that's when you leave. So you leave with the toast.
You don't sit there and drink the tea while
No, you drink the tea while the toast is happening. So
wow.
like you've got the tea, it's in a porcelain teacup, so there's not a huge amount of it.
Oh, and they don't leave with the tea.
They don't leave it with the tea, but they do leave with the toast. So like it's staged. Like how do we time out like 10 minutes? Is like you've arrived, you've settled, we've fussed, I've made you something, I've chosen something for you, I've brewed it, we've made it. And then we start making a piece of toast. And by the time the toast is like fully ready to be enjoyed, it's time for you to go.
I love it. What a great, I would freaking go to that. And is it like you pay money to get in, or is it
Yeah, I mean you don't have to, it depends on where it is, but like if it's at a festival, like I'd be happy for the festival to just buy it and have it be a thing that people just line up to do. Or it could be like it's $15, like 10 or $15 to come in and have your confession time, like however you want to say it. But like sometimes speaking deep truths to a stranger who has no moral authority over you is a deeply cathartic and healing experience. So a single serving friend, you could say. But I really want to design it so like the outside of it looks like a big fluffy cloud, and it even has like foggers, so it looks like it's kind of like always happening. And when you go in, it has like, it's super confusing about like it should not be this big inside. It's like it feels really tall, or it feels really like falsely, it feels confusing about like what you've walked into is not what you expected. But it's got to be a kitchen. So that's still the tea. All right. Before we end,
we are almost at time. We are basically at time.
Not sure. Listen to Gotta Have a Reservation, but let's just hang out and drink tea and crumpets and cackle at our dirty minds. I love it. Look, people are making plans together.
Yeah,
I love this.
But we're so spread out, and that's another thing with the hazard of doing third spaces online. Is it's like both an advantage and a disadvantage. It's like, yeah, I would love to hang out with every person in this chat.
Yeah.
And
that's
that's
festivals though. But that's festivals. Festivals allow for the temporary nature of a festival, allows for the temporary nature of travel. That's my thought about why festivals count as third spaces, because they allow for like the emergence of the more extraordinary. So people from Oregon and Louisiana and Virginia and London will all come together.
Oh, I want a hug too. I want a hug. Yeah, there's the things that now it's a very performative thing at festivals. A lot of people are putting on a show for everybody else. And I want to just go and be. But I mean, part of it's my performer background, but it's so hard to go to these spaces. And I'm thinking of like burner events, that kind of festival, and berry festival specifically.
Okay, well,
people go they make these costumes because they want to be photographed, or there are the occasional people there that I meet at these events that just want to hang out and exist wearing a fairy wing, but for the most part they want to get their picture taken. Also at Ren fairs, they just want to get their picture taken in their fancy costumes.
Do you think that there is a piece of them that wants their photo taken like that because they feel like that is a piece of themselves that needs to be proven to be real?
Sure, I ain't saying that it's wrong. I am not saying that that is wrong. I'm saying I would like to go to someplace where I don't have that pressure to perform, to puff up, to wear this fancy costume, or get my makeup done, or do my hair up,
or paint yourself green
to be seen.
I think that I hear you, and what I would provoke is the question of, this goes back to, how is an event designed? How is a space designed? If it is designed with layers of integration, that allow you to have your shiny shine, paint yourself green time and your downtime wearing a muumuu, drinking coffee.
I fucking love my muumuu.
I know. It's caftan season, motherfuckers.
It is. God, I would make it if I could.
So like, you know, I think about New York Fairy Festival when we did that together, and like all day you're wedgie, all day. And then at night we would camp by the river and just hang out. And the people who were there, who stayed in the evening, wanted to be part of that. And the people who came during the day but only wanted the day version of things left. So if you're building an event, you need, if you're mindfully building and thoughtfully building an event with deep sincerity about how people are interacting with it, then you have to build in levels for people, especially since so many of us are neuro-eccentric, neurospicy, like need different levels. Like it can't all be a high volume music festival. It cannot all be like thousands, tens of thousands of people inside of a hotel. It cannot all be like, we're just not built for it. And I think we're being more and more honest about how we can or cannot handle that. So what I'm saying is find the events, find these festival spaces that really let you be your whole self on the schedule that you can and want to be. And if you feel like you're on the whole time, you better be fucking paid to be there.
Right?
That's a job. That's a job. You know, if you're trying to go to a space to be yourself and like be yourself and live all of the different masks and identities that you have, because they're all valid, like cool. But if you are being asked to be one way for the benefit of others, you better be fucking being paid for that.
Societal pressure is a factor too.
My life and business lesson for you is if anybody
that's why I don't go to a lot of these events anymore, because it is a lot of, I have my chronic pain issues, and I get there and I have to puff up. I if Magnus isn't there to reel me in, or one of my other handlers to reel me the fuck in, I end up not walking later in the evening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And part of it is like,
it's hard.
How do you build your community to help take care of each other? And when is it community and when is it staff?
So much stuff. So let's sum up. Where is a good place to go to find this third space community?
I think that each one of us needs to exercise humility, and each one of us needs to exercise persistence to find the third space. If that is a coffee shop that you're interested in, if that is a library knitting hour that you're interested in, or if it's some other thing that's like through the Parks and Rec department or whatever, like keep your eyes open about like posters on telephone poles.
I have been, actually.
Yeah, no, seriously, we're back. We're swung all the way back, and here we are. So like, but exercising humility and persistence, I think, is a big part of it, because humility is the part where you go, stop thinking that you could do this better and like learn if this is what you want to do. And then the second piece is like, if it didn't work out for you the first time, maybe try something different or go back. And it could be no. The answer could be no. Like try something more than once, or try a new thing more than once. The answer is not on the internet. It's not. I think that's just the truth. I think we find each other in a lot of beautiful ways, but like third space community spaces are supported by the internet culture and supported by our internet family, but they are not built or sustained by them. I love you, but you're not going to feed me when it all falls apart.
I would.
You have to get here. Like, you have, like, where's the covered dish? You know, like Byron Ballard talks about this, about like, you know, the community is the people who will come over with a covered dish, not a gun, when times get hard. So
Anybody comes to my house, they get fed.
I love this, but you live 100 miles away. I'm just saying, from me.
Yeah, I know.
So that's what I'm saying is like, it's not on the internet. Exercise humility, exercise persistence.
Find something geographically close, apparently.
Find something geographically close.
Rule that
they say that the gym, like no one goes to the gym if it's further than a 20-minute drive away from you. Like that's statistically true. Like that's gyms, third spaces. To sum up, I think our culture in America has been persistently and insidiously pulled apart at the seams in order to make us all feel very lonely and to physically be lonely. So I think that facing the truth of that is kind of ugly and hard.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah, about the pearl clutching.
Yeah, that's almost it's like the other side of the same coin as gatekeeping.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like because you're trying to build trust. And so like when somebody new shows up, they're a little like, who are you? Go back. Just keep showing up and not being a dick, and you'll be amazed at what happens, at the community you find, at the friends that you make. So yeah, I would say we're all yearning.
Yeah, we do. We all want this.
We're all yearning. So I'm not saying abandon the internet. I'm not saying that what happens here is not valuable and the friends that we have here are not real. What I'm saying is that it's not the only place. It's not the only place. So, and as a person who will soon be a full-time glamour hobo with no fixed address, like that's going to be an interesting year for me, of having no fixed address, and my global community that I've been gardening over the last 10 years being a community. It's going to be very different. I will keep you posted. If you follow my Substack, if you follow all of my stuff, then you will be hearing about the Glamour Hobo Field Notes.
That's right. That's a good place for people to find you.
Shameless plug. And if you're in the Virginia area, I invite you to come to the Richmond Fringe Festival, which is next week.
Can you paste a link?
Sure,
in, like, the chat or whatever.
I would love to. The Richmond Fringe Festival is going into its 4th edition, and it's a profit-sharing curated festival. Oh, I have to join the chat. I have to connect an account? What? I'm going to drop it in the private chat and you can do it.
Drop it in the private chat.
It's now in its 4th edition, and it's going to be really cool, including a gaming track this year, by the way. So we're having we have 2 TTRPGs. One is based off of the Dread system, and one is based off of D&D 5e. And we have a 24-hour game jam as well. It's going to be super cool.
And so Paul fucking Sherwood.
I know. It's so dumb. I mean, it's not dumb, but it's just like, time so by one day.
Yeah.
So if you're in the region, then we would love to see you come through. But other people who are regulars of this channel, like Madame Ansa, have shows. And the Furies Fun Time Variety Sideshow. There's just lots going, and I think that my final advice to you, to your question of like, so to sum up, what do we do? And it's like, I just think that you and I and everyone else needs to remember that it's not our solo responsibility to fix a thing. Like, find the people that you want to fix things with, that you want to dream with, you want to scheme with. The Richmond Fringe Festival, I've been running it for 4 years now, and I just had a conversation with 2 of my longtime friends and collaborators about taking it over next year.
Yeah. Well, I brought up the Goblin Embassy because I passed that on to Nicole.
Cool. Yeah.
And, you know, she's doing a great job. It's not what I would have done, but that doesn't mean that it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 100% fine with everything that she's done.
Yeah, I've worked for that embassy. I've done the snail mail as Clamwell Clavin.
Embassies.
I have. I just want to say I am going to be a water snail at an event pretty soon. I'm really excited. It's an immersive character, and they have this like pool. They have an in-ground pool overlooking a hill, and I was like, we could get a mermaid, and I was like, yeah, but it's not really part of the thing. I was like, I could be a snail. I could be a snail in the pool. I could make a shell, and I could pull myself along the edge of the pool like a slimy creature.
I want to do that.
I'm very excited.
I will do that. I will do that.
Thank you for inviting me on.
Thank you for joining.
What sticker did you make? You didn't show it.
I made a whole mess of stickers.
What do they say?
I don't think you are aware about my new sticker company, which
I'm not. I need stickers. It's
called stickerittotheman.art is the website, but it's also that is the overarching umbrella. As soon as I have other brands, but right now I've been focusing on the Dissent is Patriotic line.
Okay.
And I actually just silk screened this tote bag today.
Yay! Love it.
So I'm trying out. So these are just some of the stickers. These are the ones that are the I'm designed a new pack called I'm calling it the Signal Pack because one, making fun of people on the signal breach thing, and it's also because we have the nice stickers, the UV, the water resistance, or whatever. These are printed on paper, and these are going to be like a sticker pack, the Signal Pack. They're so much cheaper there because you don't want to spend $6 on a sticker that you know someone's going to just scrape up.
Yep.
So it says things like.
Yep. Love it. Federal service. Yeah. Given my professional life, I'm good with bitterness. This week has been a hell of a month. Yep. Absolutely. America's lost its same. It's never pineapple. You're mad because it's wrong. Oh, I like it. I like it. The Fringe. I do not comply in events. I love that. The Fringe Festival's thing is we make our own light. So and we have a anglerfish as our logo.
Of course you do.
We make our own light, and we constellate together. We come together to tell stories and to gather our brightness, but no one is coming to save us. Richmond knows this. We work together, we constellate, and we gather our warmth together. So maybe I'll have to talk to you about making some little stickers.
I can do small runs. I can't do large runs to 500 or 100 but so I'm still designing. These are on vinyl. So they're a little bit more waterproof, but I have to double check it. They take a little longer. And then the other feedback I had was people want to be able to quickly peel it.
Yeah.
I added a die cut kind of thing to the situation. It's hard to see.
Nice. Love it. I love it. Yeah, absolutely.
They take longer to make. And of course, they're more expensive materials. And this print ink that I use on the printer, it smudges. So.
Okay.
Still trying to find the right. This was paper on a laser jet. So they're water. They're not going to bleed. They're not going to smudge.
Right.
They are. That's a good question. What size is a small run? It depends on how big the stickers are. you know, how many stickers we can get on a sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper and how detailed the cut is. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I want to do in the future is a stencil cut that we can go around and
I can do that for you.
bleach or Scotch guard the pavements so
I can
that
absolutely make that for you.
yeah, we've got a couple of hack spaces and maker spaces here that are doing some stuff for us, but I want to get it really early next year because we're only 9 sleeps till Fringe.
So I will let you get to work. I will let you get back to work because I haven't eaten dinner yet either. I want to say thank you for taking time out to come and chat with me and the awesome people that tune in on Nat 21 Adventures. And you know, Mab Labs is all about keeping the art going and motivated and finding these creative spaces that you want to make and encourage. So
yeah.
Make art every day, even if it sucks.
Even if it sucks. Even if it sucks.
Tune in. We got shows all week, and you know the drill. And I don't so much.
And if you want to get married, come and see me May 4th.
Maybe I will do that. There it is. I have to find the videos. Okay. Ciao.